Donald Trump just made his most deranged post ever, and it's not close. Now, if you missed it today, Donald Trump met with Democratic leaders Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer in an attempt to negotiate a continuing resolution and avoid a government shutdown. Well, after the meeting was over and after we were told that Donald Trump is negotiating good faith, he posted an AI video of Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries that is absolutely vile, absolutely disgusting, and absolutely racist. It is so beneath the office of the president, I can't even post or play part of it here for you. You'll have to look it up if you so choose. But make no mistake, this is the President of the United States during a time we are trying to negotiate a deal to keep the government open, and that's what he sees fit. And of course, there is not a single Republican, man or woman enough to stand up to him or to call him out for it. So he'll continue to do things like this. But meanwhile, the government will shut down. People will be hurt, millions of Americans, and it is 100% on Donald Trump. Donald Trump just got called out for lying by his own FBI director, Kash Patel. Now, if you missed it earlier today, Donald Trump put out a statement that said the FBI released a new form that showed there were 274 FBI agents embedded with the January 6th protesters, and that they were responsible and they were the agitators that caused the whole thing to go down. Well, Kash Patel had to put out a correction and saying that Donald Trump is wrong. They weren't embedded with the protesters. Instead, they were sent to back up the Capitol Police in an effort to help with crowd control. And this is huge because this is the first time that we've seen a member of Donald Trump's staff, his administration, actually call him out and have to correct the record. And Donald Trump hasn't come out and apologized. He has yet to say anything regarding this, but you can bet behind the scenes he is absolutely fuming right now because his own people are calling him out. What the fallout will be, we'll see what happens. It's unlikely that he lets Patel go because Patel is protecting the files, but buckle up anyway.
3 things the Trump administration did today. Today is Monday, September 29th. We have a bunch to cover. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off with the biggest news, according to BBC News, Politico, and CNN, the government is going to be shutting down effective tomorrow, Tuesday, September 30th at midnight if both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, cannot come to a continuing resolution agreement. As a matter of fact, the Trump administration has promised maximum pain to its constituents and citizens across the federal government, saying that they are going to mass fire hundreds of thousands of federal workers if Democrats do not agree to their continuing resolution. As a matter of fact, last week, President Trump had initially agreed to a meeting with congressional Democrats to find a solution or a bipartisan solution to help fund the government. He later in the week decided that he wasn't going to be meeting with the Democratic leadership and called them radical left lunatics. The president changed his tune this weekend and has now agreed to meet with congressional leadership today, Monday, September 29th, and we'll see what comes of those talks. Now, I want to reiterate here, Republicans are trying to blame this as a Democratic shutdown. However, that cannot be further from the truth. As a matter of fact, the Republicans control all 3 branches of government. Not only do they control the House and the Senate and the legislative branch, they also control the judicial branch because they have a 6-3 conservative majority leaning on the Supreme Court. And then, of course, the president, who is Republican, controls the executive branch. And to reiterate here, the Democratic stance on this is that they want to make sure that the millions of Americans that lost their health care after the Republicans shoved through their one big beautiful bill will be able to still have access to cheap and affordable health care. 2, more deployments of troops to cities across the United States. Let's talk about it. As I reported yesterday, President Trump went ahead and added Portland, Oregon to the list of cities that he wanted to federalize and send National Guard troops to. Today, we've officially gotten confirmation that, as a matter of fact, President Trump has officially authorized 100 federal troops to be sent to Chicago, Illinois. And 3, the Trump administration is using your taxpayer dollars, $625 million to be exact, to be able to revive a dying coal industry. Let's get into it. The White House is going to be opening up nearly 13.1 million acres of public land to private companies to be able to coal mine. This initiative was headed by the Department of the Interior, the Department of Energy, and the EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency. Now, that's all I have for you guys today, but I highly recommend that you check back in either later today or tomorrow morning when we have some more information about what's been transpiring over the last 24 hours. I'll see you guys next time on a very short episode of Politics with NJ. Bye-bye, y'all.
We have some breaking news. The Trump administration just confirmed what many immigrant advocates have feared. ICE is now targeting non-citizens for deportation, even if they are here legally. It has been said out loud. In a new policy briefing, senior officials admitted that being a green card holder, having a visa, or even being a lawful asylum seeker will not be enough to protect you if you are not a U.S. citizen. And it doesn't stop there. The ICE director said, plainly that undocumented immigrants will be deported regardless of whether they have committed a crime. Quote, "We are coming for them either way," end quote. These comments came as Trump's ICE announced a massive funding boost from $8 billion to $28 billion. And with that money, they are building out the largest deportation force in U.S. history. The agency now says its goal is to remove up to 1 million people in a single year. Civil rights groups call it a war on immigration, but Trump's team says it's just getting started. Stay with me on this. I will keep you updated. My name is Jared Zisser. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Substack for all breaking news, all updates, and the full story.
Guys, it's literally happening. I'm going to show you what somebody just posted, and I want you to guess who posted it. Pause to read. If you guessed Amy Kremer, you would be correct. But if you're like most people like me, who the hell is Amy Kremer? She is the founder of Women for America First. And she hosted through that organization the Stop the Steal rally in Washington, D.C. that culminated in the January 6th attack on the Capitol by Trump supporters. Prior to that, in 2016, she ran 2 political action committees to help get Donald Trump elected. And prior to 2016, she was high up in the Tea Party movement. And she just posted that. And if you don't understand how important this is, let me enlighten you. She's about as deep as somebody can get within the MAGA cult. Additionally, she is a leader and conspiracy pusher within the MAGA cult. She is a power broker within the MAGA movement, and she just posted that. There you go.
So I'm not afraid to come to Donald Trump's defense against prosecutions that I believe have targeted him for political reasons, which does not excuse his underlying conduct in any of those instances. Having said that, the Comey prosecution is worse because the Comey prosecution represents a head of state directing that somebody get indicted. I just think that this is a dangerous precedent and it further erodes the trust that we have in a very important institution, namely the Department of Justice. And, people talk about threats to democracy and the squelching of speech and using National Guard in American cities and the laundry list of autocratic-like behavior on the part of the administration. This is using an arm of the law to go after your political opponents.
I just watched a joint press conference with 2 of the world's biggest war criminals and scumbags, Bibi Netanyahu and Donald Trump, where they were taking victory laps, claiming that they've made a deal that will be everlasting peace in the Middle East. What is the problem, you ask? Well, they haven't included the Palestinian people or Hamas whatsoever in the negotiation. So they've made a deal and they're celebrating it like they've had this great victory. And yet, in actuality, as always with Donald Trump, nothing has been accomplished. Donald Trump also went on to say that if the deal isn't agreed to by the Palestinian people, that Bibi has the green light of the people of the United States to do absolutely anything that they want and they need to do. Meaning Donald Trump green lights them to continue their genocide with the full backing of the United States, unless this deal that they made up together with no agreement from the other side gets agreed on and works the way they want it to. Now, of course, they know that many of the things they put in this 20-point deal are an absolute non-starter with the other side, so they know it's not going to be accepted. So really, the victory lap was just the fact that they're celebrating together the genocide of the Palestinian people. Just another day in Trump's disgusting country. And that's what it is. Throw me a follow. I'll keep you updated.
Donald Trump just gave Israel the free pass to, quote, do what you gotta do if Hamas doesn't accept this next peace deal. That's right, the president of peace is greenlighting military escalation before this deal has even been accepted or seen by the public. Look at this.
If Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do.
Notice how he's being extremely careful and making sure he reads every single word off of that script so he doesn't possibly disappoint Benjamin Netanyahu. That would be such a bad thing. But instead of focusing on peace or negotiation, he's already giving Israel the green light to do whatever they want to do if Hamas says no. That's not diplomacy at all. That's not something that the president of peace would do. That is straight up warmongering. It also shows the pure emptiness of this deal they're celebrating. If the other side hasn't agreed to it yet, why are they even mentioning it? This is not about peace. This is a staged photo op where Trump pretends that he's a deal maker despite the fact that nothing's been done. He tells Israel that they're going to have our full backing no matter what. That's not the language of a neutral peace broker. That's how someone sounds when they're picking sides and pledging unconditional support no matter what. That kind of bias completely destroys America's credibility in peace negotiations. At the end of the day, Trump is once again proving to us that he is not a peace negotiator. He is a war escalator. Real leadership will be about pushing both sides towards making a neutral compromise, not fully backing Israel no matter what.
So I'm not afraid to come to Donald Trump's defense against prosecutions that I believe have targeted him for political reasons, which does not excuse his underlying conduct in any of those instances. Having said that, the Comey prosecution is worse because the Comey prosecution represents a head of state directing that somebody get indicted. I just think that this is a dangerous precedent and it further erodes the trust that we have in a very important institution, namely the Department of Justice. And, people talk about threats to democracy and the squelching of speech and using National Guard in American cities and the laundry list of autocratic-like behavior on the part of the administration. This is using an arm of the law to go after your political opponents.
What in the goodness gracious me is this all about? Donald Trump and Tony Blair running Gaza. You couldn't make this up. Apparently, Trump's new peace plan would see him chair something called a board of peace, with Blair sitting there right beside him, steering Gaza's future. And no, I promise you this isn't satire. This is the actual proposal being floated right now. Meanwhile, Netanyahu is already trying to water it down, saying it's not finalised, not agreed, not official. But the very idea that Gaza could be run by Trump and Blair, two men who've never exactly been loved in the Middle East, well, that's explosive. How would Palestinians even react to being governed like this? How would Israel feel? And what on earth would this look like in practice? Honestly, I don't even know what to say. This sounds like a recipe for disaster, or the world's most bizarre reality show. But what do you guys think? Trump and Blair running Gaza? Mad genius or complete madness?
Trump has destroyed farming in America to the point where American farmers are now having to sell equipment to pay bills. They are getting crushed by Trump. Crop prices are crashing because they can't sell to the biggest markets, China, Mexico, Europe, due to Trump's tariffs. And equipment costs are skyrocketing because of Trump's steel and aluminum tariffs. So American farmers are now paying more to produce food they can't sell. And join us for more at culturalperspective.com, because this isn't random politics, it's cause and effect. The American political system creates a situation in which individuals with no experience, minimal education, and no specific knowledge can run for office, and at the same time creates a situation in which the most popular person, not the best person, gets elected, and which those running for office can lie without consequence. So it's no surprise that America is in serious trouble. American farmers overwhelmingly voted for Trump. They didn't get what they voted for because Trump lied to them. Layoffs are already picking up pace in the farming industry, and it's just a matter of time before we see a strong uptick in farmers losing their farms. What I don't understand is why so many farmers who are losing money and soon their farms, and so many workers who are laid off directly because of Trump's lies and policies, still support him. Let me know what you think in the comments.